to InsideFlix. We're going to be doing our weekly box office report. Rich, let's go for it. Give us the numbers for this past weekend.
The number one movie in America is Knock at the Cabin with $14.1 million. Coming in number 2 is 80 for Brady with $12.7 million. Number 3 is Avatar: The Way of Water with $11.3 million. Number 4 is BTS, Yet to Come in Cinemas with $8 million. Number 5 is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish with $7.8 million.
Yeah, so the big surprise of this past weekend was probably 80 for Brady, which it really kind of generated an audience that, probably an older audience that went out to go see this movie. But let's talk about Knock in the Cabin, because this actually did worse than the opening number for Old. So are we seeing a downswing for M. Night?
A little bit, but the movie only cost $20 million, so considering its budget, I think it's still a pretty decent opening. But it is, about half of what I was expecting it to open at. 80 for Brady, on the other hand, kind of did about what I was expecting it to do. I thought that movie was going to do well for what that is, for what it was. But it actually looks like, that the movie actually had tickets at like half price or something like that. And it seems that that's a big part of the reason why the movie did so well. I think ticket-wise, it was actually it was the biggest movie of the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I want to say there was a campaign for $8 for 80s for Brady. They were trying to get in that old audience to come back to the movie theaters. And actually, it seems like it worked. It seems like a large female demographic went back to the movie theaters to see 80 for Brady.
Yeah, they did have a ladies' night launch, which was on Wednesday, February 1st. And they had a special throwback ticket pricing on that day for sure. Now, I don't know if they ran it throughout the whole weekend. But yeah, I totally didn't expect this film to do this well. I was really hoping that audience would come to their senses and ignore this thing.
No, come on. I mean, for ages now, I mean, audiences loved watching, very kind of lowbrow comedies with big names. I mean, I think this is the same audience that went to go see like Las Vegas or like Bad Moms. There's an audience for these type of comedies.
Oh, yeah.
I think a big part of the reason why the movie did so well also is because Knock at the Cabin, unfortunately, even though I haven't seen the movie, I thought the trailers were really good, but the movie's having really, really bad word of mouth. Like everyone that walked out of this movie is very disappointed by it. I think the people that liked it the most are the critics, and even critics are pretty divided on it, or pretty, it's a polarizing movie.
It seems like they were expecting like the typical M. Night twist at the end, and I guess this seems like to be his most kind of conventional film.
There's also a lot of people just saying that the movie's boring.
Oh, it could be.
It's got a cinema score of C, and the Rotten Tomatoes is pretty even with 68% to 64% audience score, and it pretty much matches with the Metascore. So there's a lot of negative on the film, but it's a typical M. Night film.
Divisive film, yeah. This is kind of the same scores that he got for Old, which was equally as divisive as, I guess, this one.
I would say even Old was even more. But the 80 for Brady had an A- cinema score.
That's astonishing.
Everyone who went to go see it gave it a rave, but critic-wise, it's still very average with a 63%. Yeah, but overall, this weekend, I thought it was pretty lackluster, I guess you could say.
Yeah, when we're talking about the movie ticket sales, it really seems like a low weekend. And I'm expecting this next coming up weekend, which is the Super Bowl weekend, another kind of low turnout for a lot of these movies, because historically it's been low. Because most of the time, most of America stay home on Sunday to watch the big game.
There's also not a lot of movies coming out this weekend. I mean, the big one is like the re-release of Titanic.
Right, and we'll talk about
Magic Mike. Yeah, we'll talk. But Avatar, let's talk about Avatar. Coming in number 3, making another $11.3 million. Only dropped less than 30%.
Did it surpass Titanic yet?
Not yet. It's still like 20 million off. So,
but they're expecting it to pass Titanic, which is again a remarkable achievement for James Cameron to actually just kind of dominate the top 5 of the best box office of all time. Yeah.
But it's ironic that Titanic is the one being released next week.
Yeah.
So it's going to cross it again. It's going to beat it again, probably.
Yeah.
Wow, it's going to be they're going to be competing against each other, Cameron versus Cameron.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 highest grossing movies of all time are going to be Avatar movies.
Speaking about like the box office news, let's go into this recent news about AMC's movie tickets, how they're going to change up their prices. Now, what's your feelings about this? Now, for those who don't know, the AMC is expecting to change their, I guess you could say, pricing platform. Basically, they're kind of making it into like a airline seating arrangement where the theater seats with the best eye line will be
charged extra, yeah.
Charge a little bit extra. They're going to be standard seatings, and like the undesirable seatings, which is kind of the front row seats, they're going to be a little less. So what is your thoughts about this kind of rollout, this type of kind of ticket prices for a movie theater like this?
I think it's a horrible decision. This is just a dumb idea. I can't believe they're actually even considering something like this. And thank God I don't go to AMC.
Yeah, it's a royally stupid decision, especially on these times when you're aching for a new theater going audience. It's still not 100%, but it's way too early to do this too. I mean, they should wait to see how this year ends up with them, because this year is going to be filled with big blockbuster films, unlike last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there's a big chance that AMC doing this is just going to help their competitors, because they might just lose customers. People might just go to a different theater.
Maybe. I mean, I don't understand the reasoning behind it. And like what Richard was saying, particularly this year, we're going to see a lot more new films, a lot more blockbusters this year. So this is kind of a transitional period. I really think it's a bad idea. And my fear now is that if they're going to change the ticket prices for this, I think the next level, the next step would be changing the ticket prices for a blockbuster compared to like a drama. Like, if you want to see the next Marvel movie, it's going to be even extra. If you want to see a low budget drama movie,
I'm not necessarily against that. I'm okay with that. But I think that's
I think that's an equally stupid idea as this one is.
Not at all, because I think that would actually help smaller movies, because I think, charging, $15 to go see, The Whale, and then charging, $15 to go see, Avatar is kind of, is unfair to The Whale, really. Because I think if it was priced more appropriately, more people would go see it. I look at it differently. I think charging for seats, that's like, concert type of thing, and that doesn't make any sense for the movie theaters. And I know we kind of theorize that one day the theater industry will be like that, but I don't want it to happen in my lifetime. It'd be funny if they do this and people just still just still buy the cheap seats and all the expensive seats are just empty.
Yeah, but the problem is, I think people do prefer those seats. I think they probably have collected enough information that people do love those seats in the middle.
I mean, I usually go for those seats, but if I have to pay like an extra $5, I'll probably be like, I could go more on the left.
Well, doesn't it make you feel less interested in going to the movie theaters with those type of prices?
Yeah, especially since movies are only in theaters now for like, at the most, like 2 months, unless it's like some type of phenomenon like Top Gun Maverick or Avatar or something like that, which are really, honestly, rare things. You don't get movies like that, or like Avengers Endgame. Movies like that don't come out like every day. So yeah, it makes me not even want to go to the movies.
Well, if a studio like Paramount Pictures that they did last weekend with the
80 for Brady,
reducing the price for 80 for Brady. Couldn't they do that couldn't they demand, the studios demand that they won't do this?
That's why I was shocked that I didn't see any pushback from the studios.
Right.
I don't know how they were AMC was able to get this going, but apparently this must be at least approved.
They're probably backing it up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, at least like it's approved by studios.
And this totally seems like something that Disney would back up.
Oh, yeah.
Because Disney movies are going to be the ones where people are really going to be willing to cough up those extra dollars.
Yeah.
It's really the Marvel and Star Wars freaks that are going to be paying, like, hey, they could maybe even charge like an extra $200 per certain seats. I mean, I remember when the Avengers movie was coming out, there were people selling theater seats online for the opening night for ridiculous prices online, and people were buying them.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I think the next step is definitely going to be charging Disney movies more, or certain films more than other films. And then I think,
that's great, because I've almost completely lost interest in those movies.
Well, the thing is, I think once you do that, once they say Marvel movies, the Star Wars movies are more profitable because they're hiking up the ticket prices. I think they're just going to stop releasing these independent films altogether, and they just push that out to VOD. I mean, I think that would.
No.
I think that's. I mean, why would you put
I don't
out
see it. I don't see it that way at all.
Well,
I mean, you have a certain point of view of it. I mean, a certain dominoes would have to like fall in order for that to happen, and I don't see that pattern happening. But let me bring up another question to add to this topic. Could this possibly be happening because the whole AMC stubs thing just completely backfired? And this is their way of trying to make some more money? Because I always thought the kind of AMC kind of stubs thing was kind of an idiotic idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I never really kind of saw how it could have been that profitable for them. And could this be them, just trying to make more money?
Yeah, definitely.
In need of that backfiring.
Yeah, I think so. And wasn't AMC the first one to hike up the movie prices last year with Batman?
Probably because they were like basically bankrupt for a while. And
also the stocks, right? Didn't they have the stocks?
Oh yeah, that's the whole stocks thing. Yeah, so AMC just sucks, man.
I think it's a bit of an issue. I honestly am not the biggest fan.
It's the same room. It's a pre-recorded film. Really shouldn't cost any more or any less to be in a certain seat.
All right, let's get to the rest of the top 10.
The number 6 film is A Man Called Otto. Number 7 is Megan. Number 8 is Missing. Number 9 is a new faith-based series, The Chosen, season 3 finale. And number 10 is Buffon.
All right, let's talk about the movies coming out this week. Rich, tell us what movies are coming out in theaters in wide release.
Opening up wide this week is Magic Mike's Last Dance, starring Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek Pinault. Also, Titanic, the 25th anniversary, remastered and in 4K 3D. Also opening up in limited screens will be Seriously Red, which stars Rose Byrne, Bobby Cannavale, and Crew Boylan.
Okay, out of these movies, which movies do you think it's going to top the box office chart?
I would say Titanic.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Titanic because of Valentine's Day mostly. Because I think Knock at the Cabin, unfortunately for M. Night, is going to have a big drop.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think probably like maybe minimum 50% drop, which is not good. I think for such a small movie that opened to 14 million.
Do you think 80 for Brady is going to have a strong second week?
I don't know, but I think it's definitely going to have a stronger hold than Knock at the Cabin.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I'm very curious about what kind of drop Avatar is going to have because I'm very curious. Like, is there a chance that we have Titanic and Avatar at number 1 and 2? Because it could have a very strong hold. Maybe people want to see that for Valentine's Day or something. And Knock at the Cabin, I can see, again, I think that's going to have a big drop. I don't see that movie sticking around in top 5 for that long. Yeah, again, I think there's a big chance that Titanic's going to be number 1 and Avatar's going to be number 2.
So you say Magic Mike Last Dance is going to most likely bomb.
I completely forgot that movie's coming out. Oh, no. That's going to do well, actually. Let's see. Where's that going to land?
Well, from what I've heard, Magic Mike's Last Dance, the third chapter, isn't that good.
And it also doesn't seem like it's going to, fulfill the needs of the Magic Mike audience. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, the last Magic Mike, which was, gave the audience, its target audience, exactly what they asked for, only opened to like a measly 12.8 million.
Right.
And this one, again, this is more like a step up type of movie, like for people that grew up with the franchise are now adults, and for some, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know. It's just like a Channing Tatum movie.
Yeah, it really seems like Channing Tatum just wanted to kind of finish the story of Magic Mike, and like I mean I get it, but I don't think anyone.
It's crazy that he was able to get Steven Soderbergh to come back to actually direct the movie. Yeah, the whole Magic Mike thing, I think, just kind of
ran out. Right? It ran out.
It ran out. Yeah, I think it ran out by the time of the second movie.
I think they should have done this movie like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And
I think and also I think the funny thing is I think in Channing Tatum's head, I think for him this is like the Logan of Magic Mike movies. You know what I mean? Like this, yeah, I think it's gonna do horribly under 10 million, and I do think it'll probably come in at number 3 then.
With Titanic, the 25th anniversary, to me it really felt like they just re-released this like a couple years ago. Do you think people are going to go back to the movie theaters to watch Titanic all over again?
I think they will. Again, I think the Valentine's Day release date is very smart. And I'm looking right now at online, seeing that during the 2012 3D re-release, that the movie actually made domestically a little under 58 million for that 3D re-release, and it made an opening weekend total of 17.2 million. So I think there's a big chance that it'll come just a respectably below that, maybe at like 13 or 14 million, which I think will probably get it at number one for this weekend.
Well, I remember watching Titanic in theaters multiple times, and I loved the movie.
But you loved it because you're a big Leo fangirl, right?
Yes. Yeah, I had it. I had Leo on my
Leo posters
on my
on your wall.
locker, in my notepad.
No, but seriously, girls did. I mean, that was the thing, right? Because I mean, I remember even when I was in middle school. I mean, well, I guess when I was in middle school, they had more Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
But Leo was still right below him.
Yeah, I mean Romeo and Juliet, which I think came right before Titanic, was the one that kind of made him a heartthrob. You know, and he was already kind of known as like kind of a real good actor with What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which I think he got an Oscar nomination, and so he was a rare kind of heartthrob who could act. And then with Titanic, he was able to rely on both of those kind of skills. And I remember it was like kind of the first time I really kind of thought to myself, oh, this was like old classic Hollywood that we didn't get at the time. And Titanic was kind of like a really throwback to a bygone time of romance and epic and sprawling kind of melodrama. Rich, what was your feelings when you first saw Titanic in theaters?
Oh, I was already a big fan of James Cameron by then. So I knew there was going to be a love story, of course. But overall, I was just enthralled by the special effects, the sound, and the story a little bit dragged on me. But I was, I mean, yeah, it was just a typical James Cameron film where he knows what he's doing and he keeps you entertained for 3 hours.
So, Rich, what you're trying to tell us is that you're one of those guys that believes that Billy Zane was actually the hero of the movie?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you could have easily cut out the beginning with the and just started on the Titanic. I think Paxton's.
No, I think you needed that beginning because
it adds to the Princess Bride aspect.
Are you talking about like the Bill Paxton storyline?
Right.
No, you needed the Bill Paxton storyline because that was the setup of what was going to be the third act. So when he comes in and says to Gloria Stewart, like, this is what we think happened, the bow breaks and it breaks in half. And basically he's describing the whole third act.
Right.
But once we get to the third act, it's so chaotic that unconsciously we know what's going on because it was already explained to us in the first act. So I think that's the genius of what James Cameron did in that movie and why it was so easy to follow.
Well, I felt it more like how Spielberg's Jurassic Park made you believe in you're watching dinosaurs on the screen, and in Titanic it made you believe that you were actually in the boat sinking, freezing your ass off in the water, and just falling to your death or whatever from the tail end of the boat. I mean, it just put you into the boat itself.
Kick for the surface and keep kicking. Do not let go of my hand. We're gonna make it, Rose. Trust me. I trust you.
All right. Let's look at what's coming out in VOD and streaming this week.
Streaming right now on HBO Max, you'll find Sam Mendes' Empire of Light. And this weekend, you'll find on Netflix, Your Place or Mine, the new rom-com starring Reese Witherspoon and Ashton Kutcher. On Apple Plus, you'll find Sharper, a new political thriller starring Julianne Moore, Sebastian Stan, and Justice Smith. On Amazon Prime Video, you'll find Somebody I Used to Know, a new romantic dramedy by Dave Franco, starring his wife, Alison Brie, and Jay Ellis. And on Paramount Plus, a new romantic dramedy called At Midnight, starring Diego Boneta and Monica Barbaro.
All right. I guess that's it.
I guess.
Okay. We'll be back next week.
And we'll see who wins the Super Bowl.
We'll see yes. And also we'll talk about the movies coming out next week. All right. Thank you for watching InsideFlix. All right. Take it easy.